This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming.
Hey guys, back with another Borderlands video, and I've noticed over the past couple of weeks or months that there has been discussion for some other Borderlands YouTubers like Baru and Morning Afterkill about whether Borderlands 3 should either be always online or if it should have mod support. I figured since they talked about it, I would go ahead and talk about it some more with you guys. Now, this is going to be more of an opinionated video. There are some people that really agree with me. There's some people that are in the middle, and then I guess there are people that strongly disagree. Now, those of you know that I actually have really strong opinions on this already. You probably already know what my stance is, but whether you like or dislike this video, I do want to hear your opinions in the comments, so feel free to leave a comment if you wish to do so, and we'll go ahead here and I will talk my spiel. So if you've been following me for any period of time on this channel, I would consider myself a big advocate for having mod support for Borderlands 3. I personally think it would greatly improve the franchise if players could make their own content to share with the community. I also think in general, many other video game franchises have greatly benefited from allowing or just having user-generated content of some sort. So for example, you have Super Mario Maker, and that game was really popular because you could create your own levels and share them with your friends. Imagine if you could do something similar with Borderlands 3, where you could create your own raid bosses to fight, you could create your own levels, or even create your own loot for other players to pick up and use. That last thing particularly intrigues me because I always like to mess with projectile physics, and I think it would be really cool if we could create our own like bird projectile weapons, sort of similar to like the Sandhawk, or just other things that were different from that. Maybe you could have one with like faces that have they're like skulls where the mouth opens up and closes. I mean, that would be really sick. But anyway, there's also been a big push with a lot of other AAA games lately to include mod support, or at the very least some kind of user-generated content feature. Now, Fallout and Elder Scrolls have pretty much always had this feature, whether it be mod support and user-generated content, but you've even got newer releases like Doom that added Snap Map, which allows you to create your own levels that you can share with the community at large. And I guess my point is that mod support, or at the very least some kind of user-generated content, really helps out a game reach an audience that it wouldn't normally reach. Now, some people, myself included, start to get sick of playing the same game that the developers, I guess, originally intended. In fact, one of the things that kind of bothers me about Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel right now is I feel like I'm playing the same game over and over and over again, and it's because there's not very many new and fresh things that are in both Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. For the most part, we've pretty much discovered everything. And honestly, I think if there was some way that you could modify the game to where you can have the original game that the developers intended with some added things or new modes or like new weapons, would really shape and keep the experience of playing a Borderlands game fresh. However, as I've said before, one of my biggest worries going into Borderlands 3 is that it will be an always online game. And judging on what Gearbox decided to do with Battleborn, I would say that it's very likely that Borderlands 3 will either share or have the exact same game engine as Battleborn does. While I guess it's not totally out of the ballpark, I have a strong feeling that Battleborn is going to have the same engine as Borderlands 3, and for those of you that don't know, Battleborn is pretty much an always online game. The game is totally server-side. And now is where I'm about to rail against always online games. If you want any idea of what an always online Borderlands 3 will look like, look no further than Diablo 3 on PC and The Division on PC and console. Diablo 3 at launch was plagued with numerous connectivity issues, making it to where players that bought the game couldn't even log into their accounts to play. You also have The Division, where the developers have discussed whether they should ban people that took advantage of an exploit. Now, keep in mind, this exploit was possible because the developers made an error when they originally coded the game. And then you've got other games like Dark Souls 3, where From Software has decided to take a nuclear approach and delete not just the cheater's account, but also the innocent bystander's account upon picking up a hacked item. And, you know, honestly, does anyone really want to deal with that horse shit? And, oh yeah, by the way, From Software, I refunded Dark Souls 2 on PC because I simply heard about you indiscriminately banning people for that stuff. I am not going to risk even playing or buying your game if I have to worry about people joining my game trying to get me banned from the multiplayer server. Alright, I'll slow down a little bit here. I got a little bit heated. Now, I do understand those 3 games I just mentioned have PvP elements, which are big parts of those games. I mean, Dark Souls, PvP is a big deal. Diablo, at least when I played Diablo 2, PvP was a big deal. And The Division, while I haven't played it personally, PvP in the Dark Zone is a big deal in that game. Obviously, you don't want to get into a PvP match with somebody who has either infinite health or weapons that deal 10 times the amount of damage that you deal. Now, I totally get that, and it makes sense that as a developer, you need to take steps and precautions to prevent this from happening in multiplayer matches. In fact, one of the reasons I've gotten frustrated with Doom 2016's multiplayer is because there are people that are cheating, and actually you can find these if you search around YouTube. You can find some videos of people playing with like wall hacks, and we're not talking about like the legit wall hack mechanics from like your hack module items, but they're like legit wall hack, like cheat programs. And there are also people that have aimbots as well, and those two things combined together, I mean, you're gonna have one dude, the cheater, that's getting insane KD ratios, where everyone else is just getting their ass kicked. So on the one hand, I get why people, and really developers, I mean, really do, and honestly, I think they should, take measures to prevent people from cheating in their multiplayer games. It makes sense to me. I don't want people cheating when I'm playing Call of Duty. I don't want people cheating when I'm doing PvP in Dark Souls. It totally makes sense. However, the thing is, Borderlands traditionally hasn't had any competitive modes at all. The closest thing you get to a competitive mode is dueling from both Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, which ultimately just turns into whoever can fire their Norfleet the fastest. And it's also worth mentioning that dual duping was a thing for a long time during Borderlands 2's lifespan. And yes, this was an error/glitch, and Gearbox honestly could have fixed it, but they never did for some reason. Something that I get through comments on my channel occasionally, or I used to see people discuss on the Gearbox forums, was how it's such a horrible thing that people cheat in the Borderlands games. And I have a question I would like those people to honestly answer, and that is, how does other people cheating really affect you? Borderlands isn't a competitive game, and the only thing that I see that you're losing out on is being able to kill whatever you are shooting at faster than the other guy. You're also not suffering any lower KDs or anything like that. And besides, if you encounter a cheater and you are hosting the public match, you can kick that person. Nothing is stopping you from not being able to kick that person. Now, yes, I guess they could rejoin, but you could just kick them again. And if you've joined a game with a cheater, then you can simply leave that game and choose to join another public game where people aren't cheating. Now, I will say that at one point, it was possible to crash your own game on console with certain modded weapons for Borderlands 2. In fact, I have actually had that happen to me before, where I guess what I did is I fired a modded weapon too much, and it just froze my console. Now, I will say I never lost any save data while that happened, and all I did is I simply just unplugged my Xbox, and I plugged it back in, and I was fine. I don't know, guys. I really don't want to see Borderlands 3 have either a PvP mode or be always online. Borderlands isn't Destiny, and Borderlands isn't The Division, and I don't want to see Borderlands turn into Destiny or The Division. And really, I think because Borderlands isn't Destiny or The Division, that's really what makes it great. The modding community is a huge plus for the Borderlands franchise, in my opinion, because Destiny doesn't really have that, and The Division also doesn't have that. I mean, it's what makes your game different and appealing to consumers, in my opinion. Why not capitalize on that? But anyway, guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.